Hello, Chris Godinez, licensed professional counselor, also the host of We Need to Talk on every Sunday at noon. This video, well, noon Arizona Mountain Standard Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, and then of course it'll change in the spring. So anyway, this video is for educational and informational purposes only. The views and opinions stated herein are mine and mine alone. They do not represent the ACA, the APA, or any other therapist for that matter. Boom, shakalaka done. I would like to thank my sponsor, BetterHelp, BetterHelp, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They are international, so if you need to get with an American therapist, they are there. So they will set you up with somebody here in the U.S. that's licensed, master's level or PhD level. If you're in the U.S., they'll set you up with somebody in your state, and they are obviously licensed, master's level or PhD level. They are great because you get to decide who you see and where you go or where you don't go, because it's all online. So which is fabulous, because then you don't have to drive like forever to get to a therapist. So that's cool. If you don't like the therapist, you can then just go back online, fill out a few questions, say, hey, don't like the therapist, put me with somebody else, and they will put you with somebody else. And the beautiful thing is that they sent me a bunch of reviews that they've gotten specifically from people that have seen BetterHelp on here and have gone to them, and they're really good reviews, and that makes me very happy. Unfortunately, I don't have them right in front of me, so because I'm still in the middle of the remodel, no baseboards, I have no idea. Anyway, so they're floating off the coast of California somewhere. Anyway, along with my sink and my toilet and my shower head, whatever. Anyway, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. They're an online therapy company. They're great. So good reviews. People are really liking the therapist that they're getting with, and it's helping people. So that's great. So there's that. All right. Thank you, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Okay. Let's get to the questions, shall we? All right. I don't understand. How can they be so nice to non-family members or the person they are cheating with, but not to their own family or to their own spouse? Okay, let's take a look at this. So, abusers hate themselves to the core. They do. There is no other explanation. They hate themselves to the core. And because they hate themselves, they cannot love, well, they cannot love, period. Let's just get that one out of the way. They don't feel the same way we do, and they hate themselves to the core. So, because they don't love. They don't love. They don't. They wouldn't know love if it walked up and did the Watusi with them. And trust me, it has. So, but they don't love. They don't love. They say they love. Pretty words come flying out of their mouths, but their actions show you otherwise, right? So actions and words must match. So because they hate themselves and because they do not love, they use people. We have no more meaning. I'm going to say this 100 million times. We have no more meaning to them than this pen. If they can use us, then great. They like us, or as much as they can like, and they use us and they keep us around because we're handy, we're usable, right? But as soon as this gives out, hasta luego. You know what I'm saying? So they treat total strangers and non-family members great because they are not of them. Let me say this again so you get this. They hate themselves to the core. They cannot stand anyone who loves them because they don't love themselves. They cannot stand anyone who is of them because they don't love themselves, because they don't love. Let's just put it out there. They don't love. So when they're using people, or they're doing the communal narcissist thing where it's like, look at me, I'm such a great person, pillar of the community, I'm a great Christian, I'm a great Buddhist, I'm a great whatever their BS is, right? They will put on this front how wonderful and kind and loving. They'll do all these crazy, amazing things for total strangers, but their own kids, their own family, their own spouse, whatever, behind closed doors, or sometimes not even behind closed doors, they are horrible to, right? So it's because they cannot love anything that is of them, and they cannot stand anyone who actually loves them. That's why they want us dead. I know. I can hear everybody's heads going, yes, absolutely. They want us dead. They want us dead because we feel we love them, or we thought we loved them. We fell in love with that illusion, that mirroring, We fell in love with this person that didn't even really exist. It was really us that we fell in love with. But then the mask slips, the real them comes roaring out, and boy, they hate us. How dare we love them? How dare we like them? How dare we? That's really their attitude. And they hate their own children. They hate, and even the golden children. Even the golden, and this is hard for people to wrap their heads around. They even hate the golden child, because eventually at some point the golden child, not always, but mostly, will break away and become their own separate person. And as soon as that happens, the fangs come out and the claws come out and they go after the golden child, because how dare they not be them? They're evil. I'm sorry. They're just freaking evil. And so they will shower gifts, shower scholarships, shower attention, shower what looks like love onto total strangers and or the person they are cheating with. But in reality, they hate everybody. No. You have to be doing exactly what the narcissist wants in order to not get the wrath of the narcissist. And that's impossible. Nobody could do that 24/7. So yeah, this is why they dote on total strangers. They dote on other people's kids. They dote on the person they're cheating with. Because again, the person they're cheating with is giving them, where did my pen go? I threw it around. Where did I put it? Okay, here's the person they're cheating with. It's giving them supply. There's still ink in this pen. Does that make sense? They're giving them supply. It's narcissistic supply, because now they've got this drama triangle set up, a jealousy triangle. Fight over me. That's what they want. Fight over me. Fight over me. Show, which one of you is going to win. Fight over me. That's often how they set it up, because they need a harem. They need a harem. They need a whole harem of people to give them narcissistic supply. So yeah, that person they're cheating with is nothing more than a pin to them, and they are giving them narcissistic, supply. So anyway, that is that. Let me take that one off the list. And it's sad and it's frustrating, because the kids see them dote on, so they replace families. They'll get involved with another abuser. They'll kick the other spouse and the kids to the curb. They'll create a second family, and suddenly the second family is everything. And so they give this second family everything, and they ignore the first family. That's what happened to my brother and my sister. That's why I get so angry, because it's like, Nancy didn't deserve that. She absolutely didn't. My brother didn't deserve that. So yeah, dog-faced banana patch. Ooh! Yeah, it makes me angry that these parents do this, that these narcissistic abusers do this. They absolutely ignore the other kids, the other spouse, whatever, and they invest in this new supply for themselves. Yeah, they do that too. So they're just cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, guys. It's not you, it's them. It's not you, it's them. And I'm going to say that until everybody, even in the back, can hear that and believe it. Because it's not you, it's them. Healthy, normal parents do not abandon their children for new supply. They don't treat total strangers better than they treat their own children. They don't lavish gifts and things on total. My dad did that. My dad set up scholarships. My dad gave tons of stuff away to total strangers in Gridley. And then his own kids, he was like constantly threatening to ruin my college. He was like, oh, I'm going to cut you off. I'm not going to pay for your college. I'm not going to help you. I'm not going to blah, 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 blah. And so I was like, screw you, buddy. I'm paying for it now. So, you got nothing. But he kept trying to use that as a threat. He kept trying to be like, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to make sure you don't graduate. Meanwhile, here I am getting A's and B's, and he's throwing all of this scholarship money at total strangers and telling his own children. And it wasn't just me. It was other brothers and sisters in the family that he did this to. He just, don't get me started. Too late. Oh, just too late. Yeah, that's what they do. So, and that was one of the things that really, in therapy, I remember sitting there just sobbing, talking to Fabian Smith up in Oregon, going, why? Why is he giving all of this attention, all this time, and all of this money to total strangers, and he's like ignoring his own kids? What? And then, that's when we started talking. It's like, well, he's crazy. It's like, ain't no other way to put it. It's like, it is what it is, and he's crazy. And that is crazy, because when you have children, you treat your own children great. You treat other people's children great. You treat everybody great. That's just what you do. But narcissists don't. Abusers don't, because they hate themselves to the core and they hate anyone who loves them. They do, because they don't feel. And it makes them angry when they see that somebody else feels. And especially when they see that somebody else loves them or has value in them. And because they hate themselves, whoo, damn, then they're going to punish you. They're going to make it so you don't love them. That's what they do. That is always what they do. It never ends well. And I think the biggest thing that people need to get out of their heads is this screwed up fairy tale of, oh, I can love them into sanity. No, doll faces, you can't. I wish you could. It'd be so great, because if everybody could just be loved into sanity, I'd retire and go open a B&B in Hawaii or Thailand or Tahiti or someplace warm and tropical. Anyway, the point being is that this is what they do. You cannot save them. You can't. That's the codependency talking. You cannot love them into sanity. You can't. I wish you could. It would be so nice. It would be great if you could just hug people into sanity. That would be awesome. But they don't want to be sane. They don't want to be loved. All they care about is ego. And ego, unfortunately, is pretty much evil. It's me, I, more, my genitals. That's really what it is. And they don't care about anything else. All they care about is supply. What can you do for them? What can you do for them? What can you do for me? What can you do for me? What have you done for me lately? You know, that kind of thing. Yeah. So anyway, that's it. And it sucks. And it's not you, it's them. It's not you, it's them. And I'm going to say that until the cows come home and probably beyond. How long does it take to see results in counseling? Like, how many times a week should I go to therapy? Okay, so let's talk about therapy. There's a lot of misconceptions about what therapy is and what therapy isn't and how long it should take. So psychotherapy was ridiculous because you would be on a couch for 25, 30, 40 years, and that's stupid. So brief therapy is also ridiculous because it's a 6-session thing. You're not going to accomplish much in 6 sessions. So I would say you should start seeing results from the first session. You should. Now, here's the deal, and this is where people get screwed up. I have actually had clients come back after a couple of weeks and go, you know, nothing's getting better, and you should be doing this for me, and why isn't this working? And I'm like, okay, are you reading the books? Are you doing the mirror work? Are you writing in the journal? Are you all of the things that you need to be doing? And they would be like, well, no. And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at it this way. Therapy is like practicing a musical instrument or singing or acting or anything else. You will never get better at it if you do not practice in between seeing the maestro or the teacher. You're not going to get better if you're not practicing. If you're, giving me lip service and going, yeah, I'll do the mirror work. Yeah. I'll work yeah. And then I come back in a week later or 2 weeks later and there's nothing done and nothing's better. Well, hello, you got to actually do something. It's like, I can't be with you 24/7. And a lot of clients, I think that the therapist should be, there 24/7. Well, that's not how therapy works. Therapy, you come in, I give you my tool belt, I show you how the tools work, and then I show you how to do it. We practice in session, and then I send you on your way to practice outside of session. That is how therapy works. So a lot of my clients, call me or text me and say, oh my God, I've only seen you one time and I feel so much better. Well, that speaks more to them than it does to me. That means that they're doing something with it. That means that they're processing it. That means that they're thinking it through. That means that they're doing the mirror work, or they're doing the journaling, or they're writing and burning the letters, or they're reading the books that I recommend, or they're, getting out of the bad situation. Do you see where I'm going with that? So it's like, all I am here for is the guide. It's like therapy is like, how do I explain this? I am the guide on a whitewater rafting trip because dealing with some of this stuff is like going through whitewater rafting. So what all I'm doing is I'm in the back watching out for the problems and going, okay, steer right. Okay, steer left. Okay, do this, do that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's all I'm doing. You are the one that's running the boat. So it's because you don't want a therapist that's going to take away your power. You don't want a therapist that's going to be like, let me keep you in therapy for 25, 30 years, Woody Allen. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, You don't want that. You want a therapist who's going to hand you all of their tools, show you how to use them, and then you go home and practice. So what I do when I do therapy, when I sign somebody up, I warn them right off the bat. I swear like a sailor. I use a lot of humor, so if that's a problem, let me know. I'll try not to drop the F-bomb so much, that kind of thing. But then when we're working, I let them know it's like, you've got to work this stuff. This is, the other thing that happens too is you tell people the things like mirror work and journaling and writing and burning letters, and they're like, oh no, that's too simple. And I'm just like, keep it simple. Keep it simple, sweetie. Keep it simple. I hate the keep it simple, stupid. I don't like that. Keep it simple, sweetie. Just keep it simple. You don't need to make it more difficult than it is. So anyway, the point being is, with a good therapist, you should start feeling better about yourself after the first session. Because a good therapist, what they do is they listen to all the incoming information, right? And then we totally validate. We validate. Yep, you're not crazy. That's the number one thing. You're not crazy. Good for you for getting help. Here's some tools. And we may or may not have a lot of time to work on the stuff, because that first session is usually just the person just kind of verbally vomiting and unpacking, and that's important. And so, but I always want to give my clients a tool to walk away with. So usually mirror work or journaling or writing and burning letters. Let's get the emotional constipation out. Let's move this along. Let's move some of this stuff through. So let's do some journaling. Let's do some writing and burning some angry letters. Or maybe it's writing and burning a goodbye letter. Or maybe it's writing and burning a WTF letter. What did you do? Holy cow. That kind of thing. So you should start seeing results after the first session. Like you should start feeling better, because you've got an advocate now. That's what really therapy is we are your advocate. So we are advocating for you. We are your cheerleader, basically. You should start feeling results after the first session. You should start seeing progress. Things should start and keep getting better as long as you are doing the work. Seriously, it's like, again, you can't, take a piano lesson and then not practice in between each lesson and expect to get better. It's the same thing. You've got to practice in between each session. So usually I give as many tools as I possibly can to my people, and then I give them 2 weeks. So every other week I will see them, because I want them to practice. And the ones who don't are the ones who don't see results. The ones who don't practice, the ones who resist reading the books, or resist journaling, or resist writing and burning, or don't want to remember, or whatever, which I understand. I get it. It's PTSD. I get it. But here's the deal. You've got to not be afraid of it. It's going to be there whether you work on it or not. Now, bad news is if you don't work on it, it's going to be unconscious, and it's going to be coming out sideways. If you are working on it, okay, yeah, you may have some panic attacks. Absolutely. But at least you're conscious of it, and you're not letting it go sideways on people. You are dealing with it directly, and that's what you want. You want to deal with it directly. So, you should see results after the first session. You should feel better after the first session. You should feel uplifted after the first session. How many times a week? 1 time a week? The only time I see people weekly is if there is something really, heavy duty going on. So say, for example, a death of a child, or, that I would see somebody probably twice a week just to make sure they're okay. Does that make sense? Or, some serious trauma going on, that I would see once a week, that kind of thing. But other than that, once every other week, because you need to have time to, first of all, get the books. Second of all, start reading the books. Third of all, do the sessions, do the mirror sessions, do the mirror work. Hi, good to see you. Have a great day. I give you permission to like yourself, and then walk out. And then at night, you do the same thing. Hey, good to see you again. Here are 3 things you did right today, because we never tell ourselves what we do right. We always lay there in bed and go, oh, I did this wrong, and I should have done this way, and I could have done this way, and I would have done this way. No, shoulda, coulda, woulda. You are shooting all over yourself. Stop. Don't shoot all over yourself. It's messy. Don't do it. So yeah, so you want to go, I would say every other week if you're not having a lot of heavy duty trauma response. If it's bringing up a lot of heavy duty stuff, and this does happen, then you'll probably go once a week, and in some cases twice a week. So yeah, it just depends on where you are. Now here's the thing. I like to work with my clients, and you tell me how many, how often do you want to go? Here's my recommendation. But if you feel you need it more often, or if you feel you need it less often, then let's adjust. Let's do that. So, and of course you got to consider financial stuff too, because it's like something not everybody's able to afford to go twice a week or once a week, or even once every other week. So you adjust, but you've got to, no matter how often you go, you got to keep doing the work. You can't just be like, oh, I'm going to put it out a month and then not do the work, because nothing's ever going to change. So there that is. That was a good question. And how long should you give it if you're not seeing results? Well, trust your gut. How many times, I would imagine a lot of people, how many times have you gone into a therapist, you had one session with them and you were like, ew, like they don't get it, like no thank you, like I just don't mesh with this person, this is no bueno. If the person does not mesh with you, if you don't feel that rapport, then you fire them, and you have the right to fire them. And so many people are so afraid to fire the therapist. Don't be afraid. It's like if they're not meshing with you and you're not getting what you need out of them, fire them. It's okay. It's okay. The only ones who take it personally would be a disordered therapist. And believe me, there's a lot of them out there. So yeah, I mean, thank you very much. I don't feel the rapport. I'm going to try to find somebody else. Great. Okay. Done. So don't take it personally if you're a therapist. It's not about you. It's about what they need. If the client needs a different therapist, then let them go find a different therapist. But I'll tell you who doesn't do that. Narcissist. Narcissistic therapists will sit there and argue with the person and try to make them stay with them. So if you have a therapist that's doing that, bye-bye now, bye-bye. Yeah. So if you are not seeing results though, like seriously, after like the first time or even in the first couple of weeks, if you're just not feeling it, fire them, find a different therapist. And also you always want to make sure what their modality is. How do they do, if they're a humanist, run. So, because they won't get it. They'll feel sorry for the abuser. So you don't want that. So, yeah, find out what their modality is, ask them a lot of questions. I think I've done several videos on that, but you do want to ask the therapist questions, just like the therapist needs to ask the client questions. It's like I always say at the end of my little spiel, it's like, do you have any questions? And, tell me a little bit about why you're coming in so I can make sure we're a good fit, because sometimes people will then tell me why they're coming in and I'll be like, I can't help you with that. I don't do family therapy. So let me refer you to, and then I'll refer out, that kind of thing. So, yeah, so it's kind of like, how often are you practicing? Are you practicing daily? You should be. And if you're practicing daily, you really don't need to come in more often than once every other week, just for like a tune-up. That's really what it is, unless, caveat, something happens. So let's say the abuser starts stalking. Yeah, you're probably going to come in more often than once every other week, because there's going to be stuff that you're going to need to talk through, process through, how to do order of protection, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, so it's what the client needs. It's what the client needs. You guys are the bosses. You guys are the bosses. And that's, I think, really important. And it makes me angry when I see narcissistic therapists who, I'm the guru on the mountaintop. I'm going to tell you what to do. And it's like, that's not your job, douchebag. Sorry. Your job is to be the guide. That's it. You go where the client needs to go, so you meet the client where they are and you go where they need to go. And you do it as often as the client needs. So there it is. I hope that answered the question. If it didn't, please IM me and I can clarify. So, okay, there that is. Okay, got that one done. How do I set realistic goals for the new year? Oh, that's a good one. So, okay. When we come from a family that is disordered, we are used to very rigid thinking. We are, because they're rigid thinkings. So abusers are very rigid in their thinking. They're not fluid. They're not fluid. They cannot just go through life. They can't. They're like, it needs to be this way and it needs to be that way. And I found myself doing that this weekend, because it's a flea that I got from my dad. It's like something didn't go right cooking, and I was like, oh, it was supposed to be this way, and so I got over it in about 15 minutes. But but it's that rigid thinking, it's that splitting, all, nothing, good, bad, black, white. So we do that. We tend to do that with our New Year's, what is it called, resolutions. So don't go for the extreme. You want to go for the middle. So instead of being like, I'm going to lose 100 pounds a year or whatever, it's like, let's take it to the middle. Let's shoot for 25 to 50 pounds. You know, let's do something attainable. So what narcissists always do is they set us up for failure because they set up these unrealistic expectations that nobody can actually match. And they're extremists. They're extremists. It's always one extreme or the other. There's never the middle ground. So no matter what you do, moderation in all things, middle ground in all things. That's what you're going to aim for. So you set realistic goals by seeing what the extreme is. Okay, what would the family set? You know, it's like how extreme one end or the other would the family go? And then what's the middle ground? What's the middle ground? Aim for the middle ground. That's what you want. So hope that answered the question. Okay, well, and then it's also about not sabotaging yourself. So if you do set goals, if you do set resolutions, then how are you going to support those resolutions to be attainable? What are you doing to make sure that you can reach that resolution? How are you supporting yourself? How are you making sure you're not self-sabotaging? So those are all important things to think about. What trigger causes a narcissist to lash out? If the wind is blowing, if the sun comes up, seriously, there is no one thing that sets off a narcissist. I'll tell you what, narcissists are looking for an excuse to be pissed. They are 24/7. My dad was that way. It's like, you know, he could walk in and say, you know, good morning, and you'd say good morning back to him, and one time it'd be fine, and you'd say it the same way the next day, and he would look at you and go, what does that mean? And I'm like, oh, dear God, run. You know, it's like, run for the hills, not safe, danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger. You know, they're just looking for an excuse to lash out. There is no rhyme or reason. Let me be very clear on that. There is no rhyme. There is no reason. There is no logic. I think that's the thing. Good Lord, my glasses are dirty. I was like, why am I seeing big blobs? So there is no logic to them lashing out. They lash out at the drop of a hat, literally. They lash out, you know, over something that does not lash out worthy. Like really, like, remember I was talking about intermittent explosive disorder. So that's kind of what narcissists do, is at drop of a hat, they will just be enraged, and that's their drug. So remember, anger is a way of jacking up, oh my Lord, jacking up the endorphins, the dopamines, the serotonins, the norepinephrines. So it's a way to feel powerful, and that's why narcissists do it, because they, above everything else, need to feel like they are God. They're not. So, yeah, so anger is a way for them to feel good. I know, it's weird, isn't it? It's like most healthy, normal people are like, yeah, anger doesn't really feel good because it always ends up hurting someone. But remember, narcissists don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. They actually like hurting people. They do, because they're freaking sadists. So, but anything will make them lash out. There's no one, it's not like you can avoid it. Trust me, when I was a kid, I tried to avoid it. I was like, okay, well, if I do this, maybe he'll leave me alone. Well, if I do that, maybe he'll leave me alone. Well, if I go hide in my room, maybe he'll leave me. No, that wasn't good enough either. You get out here. You're not talking to me, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my God, really? So yeah, there was no way to avoid the wrath, because I was the scapegoat, and that's their narcissistic supply, is to find a reason to scream at you or yell at you or get angry at you or whatever. You know, I mean, they're just meh. So yeah, there is no one thing that will cause them to lash out. They will just lash out at the drop of a hat because they're, you know, evil. All right, last question. Ooh, this is a big one. Is it safe for targets of abuse to engage in BDSM? BDSM is bondage and sadomasochism. It can be. Be very careful, because there are a lot of disordered people attracted to that, obviously, because of the power differential. So if you are in a group like that, just make sure that everybody's on the same page. Make sure that there is safety. Make sure that there is no abuse going on, that kind of thing. Now, I have had a lot of survivors of abuse tell me that doing BDSM has helped them take their power back. So again, as long as you are not getting damaged, then I'm fine with it. But if there is an abuser in that group and they're harming people, no, definitely not. So, or if you're getting too triggered or too reactivated or whatever, then no, definitely not. So, it's up to the client. It's up to the client. And there's no one answer to it, I think would be the best way to put it. So again, as long as you're not getting too triggered or too reactivated, there's no abuse going on, everybody's on the same page, everybody's respectful, then that's fine. But if there's no respect, if there's abuse going on and you're getting reactivated or triggered, then the answer to that is a resounding no. All right, my loves, I am out of time here. This week we are going to talk about energy vampires, and I'm not talking about Colin Robinson. So, although kind of Colin Robinson, but how to get away from them, because inevitably you'll go to a party, you'll get cornered by one. So I want to talk about how to walk away. And this has to do with codependency, because when we're very codependent, we have a really hard time saying no. So we're going to go through some scenarios as to how to get out of their grasp when they're doing that. What to do if it's a family member, that kind of thing. So yay, energy vampires. Thank my sponsor one more time, betterhelp.com/Chris Godinez. Thank you so much for sponsoring me. I truly appreciate it. And I'm so thrilled that people are giving good reviews. That makes me happy. All right, my loves, have a great week, and I will see you on Sunday. Bye. Oh, and Happy New Year. Bye.